So, there's two dispositions to live as. The body-mind screws itself up due to the self-contraction. And that contraction produces effects. It actually produces a personality. We identify with this personality. I am this, I am that. I am good looking, I'm ugly, I've got a big nose, I've got etc., etc. And then other people will say, you are this, you are that, you are good at that, you aren't so good at that. This self-contracted body-mind. However, the disposition of the open hand doesn't have this. There is none of this. See, when you clench your fist, there's a feeling that there is a something there. And your nails can feel into the palm of the hand. And then there's whiteness appearing in the knuckles, for instance. And the more I do this, the more painful it can feel. And it feels real. Of course it feels real. As soon as you open your hand, it all disappears. Where is all that pain? Where's the discoloration gone to? So when we're in this disposition, when the body-mind, I should say, is in this disposition, it's only a memory that it's not, doesn't appear real. We often say we'll sleep on it, and then we wonder when we get up in the morning, what on earth was all that about? It's just self-contraction. We're doing self-contraction in the head and the body. It's an activity. Don't ask me why we do it, but we do. And we say to some people when we see it in its extreme form, stop screwing yourself up. You are your own worst enemy. But in the open hand disposition, where the body-mind feels extremely wonderful and joyous and all-embracing and just absolutely accepting of everything. There's none of this in the body-mind at that moment. It miraculously and magically and mysteriously vanishes. If we say, stop screwing yourself up, the likelihood is we screw ourselves up more, because this cannot undo itself. The clenched fist can't undo the clenched fist. So that's where God comes into it. The God force, the spirit, the divine, the love bliss. By turning your attention away from this, by falling in love, this opens. The results of this is horrible. It really is ugly. The results of this is detrimental to tolerance, to cooperation, to the human force, to being really and really human, very human. The open hand disposition is very human. This is, if you like, God possessed. This is self-possessed. This is very narcissistic, always thinking, and dwelling on yourself. The clenched fist needs to redirect its attention. So what happens as you contract? You dwell on yourself. It's always thinking about yourself. Thinking. It's not happiness. It's at the root of fear and anxiety, and depression and unhappiness, and seeking for stimulation, seeking to be loved, seeking to be liked, trying to find some meaning to life. In this disposition, it's a feeling that you are already at home. It's the inherent, innate feeling of already happiness. Everyone is in this disposition occasionally, if not all the time. No. Very few people are in this disposition all of the time. And that is what this is seeking for. This disposition is seeking for this disposition. It bleeds through sometimes. But consider the word already. It's already okay. Already no problem. Already no concern. Already. Now someone says we've got to take responsibility for ourselves. Well, it's taking responsibility of one's attention, because it's attention that dictates where we place our attention. It dictates our destiny. My attention's going on to the handle of the mug, and it's prior to my hand going to the. So the attention goes on to the saucer, or the attention goes on to the button, and then the hand follows. You notice that? Do you understand? When you want to open the door, you put your attention on the handle. And in those moments, you're forgetting this. But then you remember it again. Always dwelling, always thinking. The mind never stops. It's always chattering, always going on and on and on and on. So I say, I've picked up the cup. But there's no sense of I. There's a sense of I in that disposition. There cannot be two languages. There cannot be two vocabularies. It's the same vocabulary, whether you're in this disposition or in this disposition. But when we refer to the word I, in this disposition, I is God. I is the God place, the God intention, the God voice, the God embracement, the God response. You see, this reacts. It reacts to circumstances. Oh, raining now. It reacts all the time. Always reacting. Never happy. Never. See that the body-mind that you call yourself, see that it's always this tension, stress, always. There's none of that in this disposition. That's the awakened disposition, because the clenched fist, this open hand disposition, was at one time a clenched fist disposition. So it's awoken. You all know what it's like when you wake up from a dream. The dream seemed real at the time, and it seems real for a few seconds after you've woken up. Then you realize it was a dream. And sometimes in the day you have these sort of flashbacks to your dream. And you think, what's that? You have that moment when you think, that was real. So it's the same vocabulary. But it's a different meaning to the word I. You see, the body-mind is, when you're in this disposition, you can see very clearly that the body-mind is happening. There's no clenched fist in this action. It's a movement where there's no I involved. There's no, it's so easy and effortless. It's difficult to explain. It's like asking you to explain to me the taste of baked beans or the taste of salt. Can you describe what it tastes like? You can say something tastes salty, but then I'll say, well, what does salty mean? Explain what the taste of salty is. Salt. You can say, well, do you know the difference between sugar and salt? But sometimes it looks very similar. You have to taste it. Oh, that's salt. It's only in the tasting that you know. So to realize the divine has to be realized personally. To realize this open hand disposition. When you were so high, 6 months, 7 months, becoming a toddler, your mother would have said, don't touch that, it's hot. Oh no, don't do that, it's hot. There's a lot of don't do's when you're a baby or a toddler because of you're very vulnerable, not allowed to do quite a lot of things. It's dangerous. But a while later, you had to touch something that was hot. Just had to. And as we get older, we begin to discern. This is very unintelligent. The egoic disposition, the self-contraction, is very unintelligent. This is why we have so many obese people. Diet can only be truly correct and intelligently considered from this disposition. It's the God intelligence. So I don't advocate believing in God, believing in some figure up there in heaven with a white beard or in a book somewhere who's going to answer your prayers and give you all that you wish and then take you off this earth and bring you into paradise. No, 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 no. The God I have realized is this beauty, this wonderment, this mystery, this life, this joy, this intimacy. This body-mind is more and more living inherently as it should. The inherent qualities, or the inherent quality of water is wetness. The inherent quality of a juicy peach is juiciness and sweetness. The inherent quality of these trousers is not too soft, but there's a bit of roughness there. It's a tracksuit bottom. But the quality of cashmere, which this isn't, is very soft. There is inherent qualities of everything. The inherent quality of water is wetness. The inherent quality of a stone is hardness. The inherent quality of certain flowers is a particular fragrance. So the inherent quality of God and the God state is love, joy, delight, happiness, already happiness, intimacy. That's a very important quality. They aren't made. It's their natural state. But the inherent quality of the fist, of the self-contracted body-mind, is stress, is tightness, is dismay, is forlorn, is boredom, is doubt, always feeling discomfort, it's seeking, it's the qualities of unrest, no peace in the mind, non-intimacy, feeling unloved, unrelational. See, this is not relational. When you're looking to be relational, because you're in this disposition, simply undo that, and you become automatically relational. The open hand disposition of the body-mind cannot help but being relational and intimate. And all the senses are heightened in this disposition. And you're with whatever you're doing in this disposition. There's no avoidance. This disposition is always avoiding. So when you see someone fearful, it's not a case of asking them to stop being fearful. It's a case of stop doing the self-contraction, because that's at the root. When you see someone, when you feel bored, it's not because of something out there. It's because you're doing the self-contraction. It's a different perspective. We're always wanting to blame. I've just got so excited because my particular football team has won. But that's not real happiness. That's the kind of teenage, childish reaction. This is full of childish and adolescent reactions to life. This is inherently mature. There's nothing you can do about this. There's no need to do anything about this. The body-mind may not be perfect. There may be some aches and pains. But you're not a victim of them. You notice them and you can do what you can. Going back to being responsible. I go to an osteopath because I get back pain. But I take responsibility for this body-mind. I say, I take responsibility, sit up straight, walk tall, take care of the footwear that you wear, be discerning, be intelligent. It's part and parcel of living like this. Only this is unintelligent. Only this is forever in dilemma. There's no dilemma here. Yes, you have a choice, but you inherently know whichever you choose is going to be correct. So the God-realized state, realizing that this open-handed disposition is God. Once it's realized, there's no history. There's loads of history in this. There's no future. There's always expectations in this. This is not a nice way to live. It really isn't. The body-mind has to, if not immediately, return to this disposition if there's going to be any sanity in this world. It is full about me against you. It is the I am right and you are wrong. This is always in argument, always in conflict, always finger pointing, blaming. This is never satisfied. This is always dwelling on the clouds. This is already bright. Joy, delight. La do, la la la, la la da bum bum. Now my teacher, we all have to have teachers, and we need to be taught, we need to be re-educated, and we need to take on radical we need to take on a radical decision to turn away from this and to turn to this. My teacher said, simply turn to me and you will become more and more like an open hand, your true state, by forgetting this. Because this is, remember the dream? It's fictitious. Though it seems real, it's fictitious once you're here. And my teacher, Adidas Samraj, has written such a lot and talked for hours and hours and hours about how to transcend this and to become this, by simply redirecting your attention. And when you're in this disposition, there's no separation from anything or anyone. We see the cup, we see the box, we see the spectacles, we see the remote control, we see the piece of cotton, we see the glass, we see the reflection, we see the bottle, we see the books, we see the words, They're not all separate. It's all, there's a oneness. Because this isn't dividing all of what it sees, separating it all. It's the, I talked about open hand, but the body mind becomes like, it embraces all and all, automatically. And he says that from the clenched fist disposition, there is an enormity of world, inverted commas, an ego self, inverted commas, to be figured out. An enormity or an enormous amount to be figured out. There's such a lot of things to do and to seek for. So much people are running around like headless chickens. Look how people behave on the road. Look how you might behave on the road. I've got to get from A to Z. And so is he, and so is he. There's such a lot of anger out there. So much anger. So much frustration. So much irritability. All stemming from this. And it's not necessary. It really isn't necessary. And he says, when you've realized me, there is not anything to do anymore. There's nothing to do. But then again, there's plenty to do, but nothing to do from this disposition where you're wanting to be fulfilled, wanting to be made happy, wanting to be fed by other people and things. This disposition is like a parasite, feeding on others. This disposition requires so much scaffolding, it needs to know so much. See, there's nothing to know from that disposition. I'm not thinking these words. It's happening. It's part of this mystery of life, mystery of God. It's a wonderment. It's a joy, it really is. There's so much humour in this disposition. It's inherent humour. This happiness isn't dependent on anyone or anything or any condition. It's totally unconditional. And there's nothing to seek for in this disposition. And there's so much energy. I'm not living from a place of belief. I'm not part of any groups. I attend a yoga group, but I don't belong there. In fact, wherever I go, I don't go anywhere. This is still the same disposition. The body and mind's moved. I can say I move myself. I'm scratching my hair now. The hands move from there to there. But there's no change in the disposition. Are you understanding? The great pianists play so many different genres and styles and play so many different moods, but the pianist remains the same. The great actors leave behind what they've been acting They don't take it home with them. They could do, but they're not. Their body-mind disposition hasn't changed. The great actors are being lived by God. And sometimes people say, how did I do that? But God crept in. Miracles happen in this disposition, in the as. As I said, you've got to taste this yourself. If you want to make a difference in this world, then first and foremost, you have to give yourself over. You have to surrender. You have to realize that that which lives us is being pushed away, pushed aside, strangled, contracted upon. If you want water to flow freely through the hose pipe, then you mustn't have a kink in the hose pipe. But that's what we're doing. This self-contraction is kinking internally the body-mind. The body-mind is a vehicle for God's expression. A wonderful operatic singer can sing the most beautiful quiet tones, and then suddenly very loud. It's 11:45 midnight here, so I won't demonstrate the loudness of God. We're brought up to believe that God is some figure up there. So every time I say the word God, you've got to understand my meaning. God is life. God is love. God is happiness. God is joy. God is most of all intimacy. I say most of all. And God, the God power, can be very angry. It's not all sweetness and light. All of duality, all of the opposites are embraced. As I said, the one who sings, these great singers can produce the highest, sort of the loudest tones and the softest of tones without any difficulty. There's no contraction, there's no constriction. There's a film where it's called The Quiet Voice, where this young lady is singing in her bedroom at the top of her, she just loves singing. She sings with the records. She imitates all these great artists. And she just loves singing. She loves it. But someone heard her sing and wants to manage her. And she's invited to sing and perform at the local theatre. And she goes for rehearsal and she can't sing. She's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. That's another ingredient, patheticness of this disposition. So she gets into this disposition. She's not singing like she did in her bedroom. But then suddenly she sees her father there in the audience. And as soon as she sees her father, she connects up. Then suddenly she starts to sing once again as she was singing in her bedroom. she fell in love with her father. So when she was singing in her bedroom, she was singing to her father. We have to practice love. We have to practice being in love. The body-mind must become taken over by love. And so she was able to sing. It reminds me of the ugly duckling. Oh, I'm an ugly duckling. And suddenly someone says, you're not an ugly duckling. Look at yourself in the reflection in the water. You're a beautiful swan. And so on and so forth. So how do we live like this? Fall in love. Redirect your attention. Stop being so busy. Allow God to live you. Feel that spirit. Feel that energy. It's just wonderful. And then there's nowhere to go. So when you die, you just die. If you return, you return. But there's no belief system. The open hand disposition doesn't know anything. The open hand disposition doesn't belong to anyone or anything. We stand alone. We stand alone as God. You'll see that there is only God. So when I go out of the front door in the morning, what is there to fear? And you just enjoy all the happenings. It's a pleasure to live. My teacher, Adidar, said, when you're in this disposition, it is simply a pleasurable oneness of all that's arising, no separation. Now, what I've been talking about and possibly revealing to you for the first time must be re-listened to. It just must be. You must hear what I've been saying many times. Listen to what I've been saying over and over. Be re-educated. Then everything you do is an enjoyment, is part of enjoyment. You enjoy. Just be intimate with the flowers, with the different textures, with the different scents. You enjoy all the happenings, even when whatever you're doing makes a mess. You enjoy the mess. You enjoy picking up the mess. You enjoy, it's just all part and parcel. All of duality, all of the opposites, the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs, the blacks and the whites, all parts. We know the difference between what's ugly and what's beautiful. Hello, where are you? You do daft things and you know you're going to die one day. So why not die in this disposition? Why add anxiety to life? Why add conflict to life? Why add all this nonsense to life? As Jesus said, look at the flowers, look at the birds. Are they anxious? Apparently, sometimes they do seem to be. God moves in mysterious ways. His wonders to behold. So, would you like to know more, or would like to become part of of a way of living that is conducive. We become servants, you see. We serve one another naturally. Thank you for listening. It's a heart matter. All the best. Bye. Blessings to you. Blessings.